Hi everybody, Dhaman Mehta here, and thank you for once again joining me on my journey as I go through my favorites list on fanfiction.net. I've been reading these stories, fanfiction, since I was in high school. It's been a very long time, and I decided a few years ago to go back and reread all the stories that I had put on the favorites list of the first site that I started reading fanfiction on, to see if my tastes had changed or if I had, you know, still kept all the same stuff that I liked. So I've been doing it for a while. I sorted these by publication date, so that way I wouldn't really get surprised by new ones or changes by updates. We're now up to August of 2014, getting close. I started this around 2018, and I think I only added a couple more after that, so only a few years of stories left, though they are a lot. But let's dive into the first one, starting with Reading the Ever-Twisting Wind, The Lightning Thief by Bones Boy 15. So this is a, I guess you'd call it an MST3K, Mystery Science Theater style fic, where, or as I guess it's gone further, a reaction fic, where a cast of characters from one IP usually read or watch a story or fanfic that's either canon and react to it, or some other fanfic a lot more. So this one is a Percy Jackson and Harry Potter crossover, where Percy and his friends, along with the Olympians, read a tale of the first Percy Jackson book, where there is an added femme Heir, who is the daughter of Zeus. And the story itself, it's fun enough. Has a lot of interjecting from the audience, which is a thing I enjoy with these reading fics, and I did enjoy the original fic as well. I had read the original fics before this author had done the reaction. Andy's different personality-wise from canon Harry, very, very much so, and adds some more spunk to her third year, as that's when the timelines add up, that it goes through the first Percy Jackson book and then into Andy's third year at Hogwarts. So it keeps it from being a complete retread of either. It does spend a lot more time in the Percy Jackson book as opposed to the Hogwarts stuff, but if you want a fun crossover that's pretty much pretty much and one and as a reading thing, and yeah, this is pretty much just a canon plus one crossover, you'll like this. I did enjoy it, and like I said, the reaction fics are one of the big types of fics I've grown to enjoy, especially more recently. So yeah, this is going to stay on my list. Next is Unstoppable Flash by DarthManwe. I guess, I don't know how to pronounce it. This is a Kim Possible fic that is sort of crossover with the DC universe, where Ron Stoppable, Kim's sidekick, basically gets the powers of the Flash and starts acting as the Flash, and that brings a whole bunch of other people into this world that Kim was dealing with. This story leaves the lighter tone of Kim Possible really quickly and slams the trauma onto the team pretty damn hard. I did enjoy seeing Ron grow to be a more serious badass and not just the butt monkey, and Kim still has her own part to play, getting a bunch of stuff and things, especially as they enter into the more wider DC universe with people like Waller coming in, Gorilla Grodd, and others. And even some of Kim's villains get upgraded to DC full villain level, like Monkey Fist and such. So if you want a darker Kim Possible with a focus on Ron, you'll be well served here. There's a lot here. I enjoyed this a lot. It's going to stay on my list. Number 3 is A Flower Amongst Devils by Wrathie Winsre. This is a Persona 3 crossover with High School DxD, where after this is a female MC from Persona 3, and after the events of Persona 3, she ends up in the High School DxD universe and basically aligns herself with the Youkai and starts joining in. I love Persona 3. So Persona 3, the FES in particular, that was the one that I played. I consider one of my 3 favorite games of all time, and so that is why I love Persona 3 Fixer. I want to see more of this, but this one just didn't click with me. Like I was reading through like 25. I got through over half of this, and I just was not jiving with the story. It's nothing bad. It just felt really slow and dull. Minako, who is the femc, has like the charm and the know-how of a full stat pro tag, and is very personal with everyone. And she certainly introduces something new with siding with the yokai as opposed to like just hanging around Koho the whole time. She still ends up going around Koho, the main high school, and ends up befriending Rias because of course you can't go too far away from canon and such. But it just didn't. I felt dull. I think like just as like the more I read and like as I'll see in this video, it's like I don't think High School DxD is really enjoyable for me when taken seriously, and I think that's the thing here. Like this one just goes for pretty much full serious with like I think there are a couple jokes, but it's much more just straightforward serious tone. And I think High School DxD, especially in my opinion, just works better as a more comedy focused universe for that. So this one was just not for me. It's gonna fall off my list. Next is Darkness Burning by Get These Main 342, I think. And this is an alternate take on Frozen, where Elsa and Anna, their parents survive. Like they go out on their trip and their parents come back, and then they just grow up, still having like distant relationships and stuff. I think this is a really good story that gets in and out with its point rather quickly as compared to the many behemoths that I've had on this list. We see Anna deal with like more like traditional like royal suitor type situations where she has she's the second princess, so she's gonna get married off to someone for more things and has to deal with not the perfect person and so on, and she still finds happiness and stuff in a non-fairy tale way, while Elsa, because she doesn't have that release moment, grows worse and worse because of the bad advice given to her by her parents. And it dives really well into the loneliness and trauma in a good way and wraps itself up all in a nice bow and works out really, really well. I like this a lot. It's a great what if story. It's going to stay on my list. Next is Son of Sparta DxD by Dark Akatsuki, or Akatsuki1, probably Dark Akatsuki. This is another High School DxD crossover with Dante from the Devil May Cry series. And this just like as he's I think this takes place after the events of DMC4, where then he just like gets sucked into a portal, de-aged, and ends up in High School DxD. And since he's there, he doesn't have money and stuff, and gets like backing from some people, starts going to high school, going to the high school, and then again he doesn't join Rias's peerage here either, so that's fun. But this one is much more I found much more entertainment out of this, because again it keeps the vibe funny. It's very much focused on the comedy, and Dante as well is just like styling on everybody as the OP badass that he actually is. And it goes through things really well. I'm just sad that the author stopped where they did. Like, they get through the main thing that seems to be the stopping point for most High School DxD fics that I read, which is the Excalibur arc. And it goes a little bit past that into the middle of what was going to be a DMC, like, family reunion kind of thing going on there, and it stopped in the middle, which I just wish would continue. But it's a lot of fun. I enjoy it a lot. It's really snarky humor with Dante just, like, screwing around with Rias and the others in particular. I enjoyed it. It's going to stay on my list. Number, I think this is like 5 or 6. No, this is 6. Okay. Number 6 is Hermione Granger and the Marriage Law Revolution by Star Fox 5. So this is Harry Potter fic, pure Harry Potter fic, and the title is very deceptive. So like the title makes it seem like, oh, and I've seen some other fics that are like this, where it's like, okay, there's this one thing that's like, oh, hey, there's this new law that passed, and the whole thing's going to be about fighting this law and doing stuff. And it's like, nah, it's basically just the inciting incident. Like, this law passes, and I think it gets passed in, like, a prologue story. I didn't actually read that prologue story. I just read this by itself. And, like, the law passes immediately, and then within the first chapter, Harry and Hermione have overthrown the British Ministry of Magic and, like, their government, and they're ruling it already. Yeah, and that's all happens. And then we expand it to, oh, it turns out purebloods aren't just like that in Britain, and, you know, so everybody, purebloods are actually horrible all across Europe, and they saw this as, like, Muggleborns rising up against purebloods. So now we're going to have a world war where all the purebloods go to just basically exterminate all Muggleborns, and all the Muggleborns look at Britain as like, hey, they did it, we can do it too, and rise up. Yeah, it goes all in on that premise. As Harry and Hermione deal with one fire after another as politicians, not just, you know, how it's traditionally handled of they are just powerhouses going around, like, you know, destroying the enemies like that way. And as the story continued, I just found myself more and more engaged, like, especially, like, as, you know, like, the fighting goes in, and then they start adding more modern warfare of, like, you know, guns, bombs, and stuff. And also just the story of, you know, it's not just focus on Harry and Hermione, or, like, even their group of friends, but we see small groups, and we get characters of importance and their rise to power and like their rise as their leaders in, like, each country that it goes up. Like, we see the Russian group get their rise. Crumb becomes figurehead by accident, and then minister in actuality. Like, it's all really interesting, and it's complete, so bonuses for there. I really thought it was really interesting take, something I don't normally see on my list. Stands out in a different way, so I enjoyed it. It's going to stay on my list. And so the final one for this video is Harry Potter God of Gods by Angel Doctor. Another high school DxD crossover for you, where Harry, after his stuff in canon, basically just learns that he's a reincarnation of God from the Christian Bible. Like, so the God that died in high school DxD reincarnated into Harry, and so he's now learning his power. And then he goes in, comes back to Quo, and again immediately falls in love with Rias, and always, but, like, it's there. It died. This fic is not complete. It dies during the Excalibur arc, as I said. It's the thing of plenty. But it's fun. Like, it's not. It calls itself, like, crack and stuff, and it is, but not super. It's like grade B crack. Like, it still has a main plot, and it's not complete off the wall randomness or 100% pure gags, but it very much is. The main focus of the story is the gags, as opposed to the plot that slowly goes forward more in the background with occasional serious scenes. Like, what you're here for is the jokes, and I found them to be plentiful and entertaining, and would not mind coming across this again. So it's going to stay on my list. So there we go. Another bunch of stories that I read. I know it took a long while. Don't really have much of an excuse. Just didn't start reading these, and got sidetracked with other video games and stuff. But yeah, I should have read them faster. But yeah, so that's it. Fanfiction status time, 502 stories have stayed on my list out of 1,070 total. I said that in a different order than I normally do, but there we have it. So thank you for watching. As always, I will leave links to the stories in the description, so if you want to read them yourself and take your own opinion, as well as, like, other links to a couple other things, give them all a look, and I will see you in the next video. Take care.